Right guys, I'm making this video because I'm seriously pissed off with Black & Decker. I've got this chainsaw here, which is a GK2240, and the symptoms of the problem are that you start to cut a piece of wood and the chain won't drive. It drives without any resistance, okay? But as soon as you try and cut anything with it, it stops. Now I had this apart and there's a sort of a spring which behaves as a bit of a clutch as far as I can make out. Now this part is from a later model which apparently Black & Decker say doesn't fit. Now I don't need the part to fit, I just need the spring, and now they're telling me that the spring is a different size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to whip this one apart. I've made a bit of a frig to mend this one, but unfortunately it stops the chain brake from working, so it's a bit dangerous to be using, although I've managed to cut some more logs just to get me by when the thing first broke. And what happens is, I don't know if you can see through all this oil they've put on the bit that has broken, the spring snaps halfway along here, and the reason it snaps there is because this shaft is split in two, and there's two shafts in there which are independent and they're bound together by the spring, and depending which way this rotates, it tightens the spring up and creates a drive on this side, which is the cog which drives the chain. But the part in here is as a metal cog. I don't think the unit will actually fit. It's an obsolete part now, you can't buy it. You can't buy just the spring, you have to buy the whole thing. So when you could buy the part for this particular model, it would cost over £40. This one for the later model costs around about £23 in the UK. So let's just whip this off and see what we find inside and see if we can actually use this spring. I've measured it with vernier calipers. The outside diameter seems to be the same, but what I want to do is get the old spring off and compare the sizes then. So first thing you do is obviously take the chain off and the chain bar. A bit of housekeeping while we're at it. Just take that off. Now what you're left with is this arrangement here. Now this is a left-hand thread on here, so once we get that off, we can do the 3 screws here to take this off, if you can see, and that will allow us then to undo all the screws around the periphery of the unit to get the housing off. So we'll just quickly do that. Let's see if we can actually move the camera for you. So some more grips just to hold this in place. And clockwise to undo. Put that to there, and then we just undo these 3 screws here with Phillips. One, 2, and 3. Now these Phillips screws around the body of the chainsaw are fortunately all the same length, so you don't even have to worry about which one came from where. So that just comes off like that. and put those to one side. That comes out, just sits there. Don't forget to put that back in this order, otherwise I had to take it all apart again because I forgot to put the bolt back in that point. Right, let's see if we can get these out very quickly. One. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A bit tighter. 10, and this is 11th, I think. Yeah. So now we just lift this housing off, and actually, to give Black & Decker a bit of credit here, this comes away fairly easily actually. So one of the screws is just tight there, and that's what you get. So we just take the housing off, make sure all the screws are out so you don't lose any. And now then, as you can see, we're just going to take all this mechanism off, just because it's all loose, just comes out. And the part is this bit here. These just pull off. Okay, so 2 cogs pull off. And then what we've got to do is we've got to get access. Now these are Torx. There's 2 Torx screws here, and unfortunately to get to this one we have to take the oil pump off here. So I'm just going to quickly do that. Again, I think this screw is the same size as all the others, so you don't have to worry about keeping it separate. Yep. And then what we do is, there's another one here, isn't there? Yep. So there's 2 to hold the oil pump in place. Okay, that's the same size. And then it just lifts up to give you access to that torque there, which I think holds this. There's 4, and I think only 2 are holding this cover, which is the only thing you need to remove. Okay, so you need to take this off. Again, that just rests there, and this is under a bit of tension because it's the brake. So we just need to lift that clear of the spring like that. And you can now see the torque screws there and there. I think those are the 2 we need to move, or it might be that one as well actually. Anyway, let's whip those out, see if I've got a torque driver somewhere. Too big. That'll do. So let's this one out. That I'm not sure, I think it's this one we need. 2. You need all 3 out actually. Why is this not turning? Okay, bear with me a minute. I've got a pair of glasses. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, we can get a flat blade on that maybe. Yep. Looks like these, yeah, unfortunately these Torx, I've got a slot in them which allows you to get a straight bladed screwdriver on. So that's the 3rd one coming out now, and that comes off, so that just the plastic cover just comes off like that. And here's the little beast. This is the unit, and as you can see here, what happened was the spring had snapped. So what I did was I took 1/2 of the spring and cut it with a Dremel to create 2 spaces either side. So now this still drives, but unfortunately the braking mechanism doesn't work, because I've realized now that on the new spring there's a little, this end is lifted, which allows this to engage there to stop the spring from spinning around and causes the whole thing to break. Okay, now just looking at this spring, I actually think that's the same spring. So let me get my vernier calipers. The new one's measuring OD, well, the best part of 19.9, and the old one, oh, look at that, 19.84. So I'm pretty confident that this will actually fit. Now, what length is that? That's about, now then, 28, 29, and this, can I get my calipers in there? Oh yeah, it's probably about the same actually. I mean, I'd be surprised if they made different springs, even though the model's changed. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause the video and see if I can whip this spring off here and pop it on here. Now the spring on here is held in place. Then this circlip needs to be moved. So this will release the cog and allow you to take the spring off. So give me 5 minutes and I'll come back to you. So let's just pause this. Right, just to show you quickly before I have a go at taking this off. I think it might be quite difficult to get the spring off actually, but this is what I've managed to do. I've managed to take this off by being careful with a mallet just to knock this out, and actually the bearing's just fallen out afterwards. And it's this, you see how the shaft is split into 2, and the spring goes around this part, and it's snapped where the break in the shaft is, and that's the problem. Okay, now I just want that spring off this bit on here, and I'm just hoping that it's the same spring type, because otherwise this chainsaw is in the bin. So that's what I need to do now. I'll get the other spring off and then we'll have a look to see if it'll fit. Okay, back again. I've managed to get the spring off, and this is the new unit. And you can see it works in much the same way. Now to get this off, there's a bearing here which I knocked the shaft through, took that off, managed to get this off by wiggling it. It's very tight on the spring, and lo and behold, I managed to get the spring off. And when I compare it with the bits of the old one, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that's the same. Now I've measured the diameter of the shaft on which this sits, again with vernier calipers. Now bearing in mind that Black & Decker technical support said the springs won't be compatible. So this is the diameter of the shaft I took the spring from. That says 16.17 millimeters. And this is the diameter of my unit, which is, oh look, 16.16. I'm pretty sure it will fit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to whip the new spring on. It's pretty straightforward. The raised bit has to engage with the cable, the chain brake, and that has to go at the sprocket end. But apart from that, it should just pop on nice and easily. So I'll just stop the video now because you don't want to be wasting time watching that. Hi guys, back again. Right, so I got the spring on. Circulate was a bit difficult to get back, and I had to drive this bearing in with a 19mm socket just to, so it's just touching the edge of the bearing and not the inside. And once you've got the circlip on, just make sure it rotates in the groove, so you've actually got it in the groove. So that's all back, and now I'm just going to assemble it all back together, and then we'll give it a test. Right, back again, all fully assembled now. I'm just going to power it on and see if the brake works. Because before, with the rehash spring arrangement, like I said, I'd cut this in one of these halves in two and used the other half to as spacers, and I think actually it would have still worked had I allowed for the raised bit that the brake handle catches on to stop the chain. So here we go, let's see if it breaks. So I'm pretty convinced that's working fine, and for the sake of 23 quid it means I don't have to chuck this away, which is actually from no help from Black & Decker on this. I asked them about their right to repair and their repair exchange policy, and I just got that the part was obsolete. So if you've got a GK2240, which is the 40 centimeter version of this particular model, and they do other models of the same type with the metal drive shaft, just buy the spare for a CS2040, remove the spring, fit the spring to your unit, and it should work.